Ladies and gentlemen, I thank very much our friend Vineet Jain, ET Group, as always, for this fantastic organization. It's a pity the Prime Minister has not been able to come, but everything else is majorly intact. The points I want to make is more from a banker's vantage point, more from my own angle as the principal sponsor. Yes Bank is the principal presenting sponsor this year. So from those angles, because the banking markets in India have been going through a fair amount of precipitation, have been going through a fair amount of trouble, and as they recover, the opportunity in the country naturally is also going to turn around. So I would like to share what I think is a little bit of a stock take in what is happening in the economy. The foremost point I want to make is I think the idea of India is intact. What do I mean by idea? The idea is fundamentally the I. I is about the international, because this is the global forum, it's about the international trade and commercial exchanges which are being promoted by the government of India, personally spearheaded by none other than the Prime Minister, who is branding India as the destination to come to and to invest into. So that's the first I. The D, in my opinion, has a lot to do with the domestic reforms. We had some breaks, we had some speed breakers, but I must confess the last 18 months or so of the last 36 months of the government have been somewhat more encouraging. And the domestic reforms are falling in place, not really in high jumps and long jumps, but very steadily coming together. And that, I think, is building the confidence and conviction in the economy. I think the third point, the E, idea as in E, is the ease of doing business. The ease of doing business, ladies and gentlemen, is not just about Delhi. It's about, as has been said, politically and economically, and also matters a lot to the bankers, is the cooperative federalism. The angle of the state governments and how they are responding to the changes and how they are competing with each other to bring in and solicit investments. To me, the E is extremely important, not just at a Delhi level, at a federal level, but mostly at a cooperative federalism level, at the state level. And I think the states are competing, the amount of roadshows they're doing, but apart from that, some of them mean serious business. For example, the state of Andhra Pradesh, which is so voracious about its appetite for investments. And I think the A in the idea is a lot to do with the active, somewhat belatedly, the active consensus building process which is underway. I don't want to elaborate on this point. India is still, ladies and gentlemen, the fastest growing economy in the world, with whatever blips we continue to have here and there, but still the fastest growing economy in the world, continues to retain its top spot as the #1 economy. But if you look at some key factors, why? Because we have to sometimes digest in a global business summit of this magnitude that Mr. Vineet Jain and his group are hosting today. If you see the substance behind this economy, because the content of the economy is very important. We all do a lot of good marketing. But the substance that Mr. Vineet Jain and the group are projecting is very important to understand. I only have a few points in this respect from a banker's standpoint. First and foremost, the improved macroeconomic stability. I think we must recognize that the low inflation and the fiscal prudence, and that coupled has been a game changer. We never had a situation, most of the time we've had conflicts on that front, but I must confess that there has been reasonable convergence in terms of inflation management, fiscal prudence, and more recently steps like the Monetary Policy Committee, which means that there is consensus building coming together in terms of inflation management in our economy. The second point, which very often is below the radar, in my opinion, very important, is that the government has not been leaning towards what I call unaffordable populism. That means we are not wasting a lot of money on what is populistic. And I would like to believe that this is very significant in the overall appetite that investors, FDI investors, FII investors, domestic investors, which have been languishing, as they regain their animal spirits and all, when they can build and understand that there is an angle to all of this. So the government is not into anti-populism. I think this is something I would like to underscore more than once. The other point which I think was hesitating and somewhat in debate for a long time is, ladies and gentlemen, the reform momentum. I think the reform momentum in our country is, I've been in the business of banking for 37 years, has been pushed forward. The push forward has a lot to do not just with tectonic reforms which have been pending for decades, like GST, or for that matter, the insolvency and the bankruptcy code, IBC, and then the amendments required to build more teeth into implementing those bills. But the fact is that the reform process and the deregulation process are moving hand in glove, slow and steady. And I think that is a very important point.
Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/ETNow and don't forget to click the like button. You can also follow us on Twitter at ETNowLive. To stay updated with all our programming, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel by logging on to youtube.com/user/ETNow.